It's great to be here with you all today. Thank you very much for inviting me. This has been a great experience. I stand before you today on behalf of everyone in my generation whose freedoms are under attack. The debt crisis and slow economic growth and other issues hurt my chances and the chances of others in my generation of getting a job when we graduate. I am concerned that my generation will not have the same opportunities and freedoms that other generations enjoyed. The values in America are greatly changing. Our elected officials no longer follow the Constitution as written and instead decide to force their own values on American society. Today, our First Amendment is under attack. Our religious institutions are being forced to provide services that violate their conscience. Our Second Amendment is under attack as politicians ignore the rights guaranteed by the Second Amendment. There are recent proposals to start taxing guns and ammunition in order to discourage gun usage. The state legislature from Massachusetts recently stated, "We tax cigarettes, we tax alcohol, and we tax other things that have a negative effect on society, so why not tax guns?" This is clearly a deliberate attempt of gun control advocates to stop people from buying guns. We all know that if you tax something, you get less of it. So the gun control advocates can't take away our guns, so they're trying to prevent us from buying them with higher taxes. This is clearly a dangerous idea, and I will fight against it. I'm also sick and tired of the attacks on the 10th Amendment. The federal government needs to stop trying to force the states to do things that the states don't want to do with regard to things like Medicaid, environmental regulations, and education. These are all clearly important topics and big issues that concern me. But my main focus here today is to talk about the tax code and why it is broken. The U.S. tax code is so broken and so overburdensome that it discourages growth and productivity and punishes investments and savings. The time has come to throw out the current tax code and replace it with something simple, fair, and transparent. Thankfully, the plan America needs has already been written. It is known as H.R. 23 or S13, or by its common name, the FairTax. The FairTax has 73 co-sponsors in the Congress and millions of grassroots supporters. The FairTax completely repeals the 16th Amendment and the income tax, which has shackled our freedoms for 100 years. The FairTax completely eliminates personal income tax, corporate income tax, payroll taxes, capital gains taxes, the estate tax, alternate minimum tax, and the gift and self-employment tax. It then replaces these taxes with a single national retail sales tax. The fair tax is designed to be revenue neutral, so it will not add to the deficit. The fair tax essentially taxes consumption on all new goods and services, no new goods are taxed, with a single retail sales tax rate. It's important to note that the fair tax is not a value-added tax. It does not add onto the price of the items you buy. Everything you buy has an invisible or embedded tax built in its price. The fair tax simply removes these invisible and embedded taxes and replaces them with a single visible rate. Additionally, with the fair tax, you keep 100% of everything you earn. No more withholding or money being taken out of your check. Everything you earn is yours. The government will no longer have a first claim on what you earn. You decide when to pay taxes when you buy. The government will no longer decide for you when you earn. Just eliminating the payroll tax alone will help the average American see an immediate 25 to 30% increase in take-home pay. The fair tax treats every American and every business the same. No more loopholes and deductions that benefit a few. Washington, D.C. will no longer pick winners and losers. Everyone will have equal opportunity, and no business or American will have any unfair advantage over another. Additionally, taxing consumption instead of production will also make America the most competitive nation in the world. Repealing the income and corporate tax will make businesses that left our shore because of a terrible tax code immediately come back when they realize production will no longer be taxed. The elimination of corporate income tax will cause approximately $12 to $14 trillion to be repatriated to the United States and will initiate a massive expansion of the U.S. economy and create millions of jobs. This is the ultimate stimulus. Also, a survey of 600 foreign companies found that if the United States adopted the fair tax, these companies would build their next factory in the USA, and 200 companies indicated that they would move their headquarters to the USA, thus creating many high-paying jobs. Also, the consumption base is bigger than the income base, and consumption GDP is twice the size of income GDP. And with a national sales tax, it is harder for people to evade paying taxes. Criminals and people involved in the underground economy that use the money they earn from illegal activities to buy goods and services will now pay tax and contribute to the system just like everyone else. Foreign tourists will also pay fair tax on their purchases. The fair tax broadens the tax base with the lowest marginal tax rates. If we remove the cost of production, marginal production costs will decrease, and the tax rate of 23% in the fair tax inclusive in the fair tax will essentially lead prices to be about the same, not higher. If some prices do rise, people will have more than enough income to pay for an increase since you keep 100% of everything you earn. Another key component of the fair tax, and my favorite part, is the elimination of the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS. The IRS has grown from a small agency to a bureaucratic nightmare that seeks to invade the personal financial lives of every American. We pay, on average, 30 cents of every dollar we earn just to comply with the IRS and regulations. That amounts to an annual cost of $430 billion a year. Eliminating the IRS would be an equivalent of a $4 trillion tax cut over the next 10 years. The average American spends about 72 hours filing their taxes. If the IRS is eliminated, small businesses and Americans will not have to waste time filing taxes and waste money by hiring accountants and advisors to comply with the IRS. Eliminating the IRS will allow us to get rid of 75,000 pages of the current tax code and replace them with 133 pages of the fair tax. Thank you. There are new reports today that state that the IRS now has the power to invade your privacy by checking your email accounts and Facebook accounts without your permission. They talk about the imperial presidency, but now we need to start talking about the imperial IRS. Not only can we trust the IRS to protect our privacy, but we cannot rely on the IRS to protect our identity. The IRS is so ineffective that 1.8 million people last year were victims of identity theft. These were able to take advantage of the IRS's weak and ineffective bureaucracy and file false tax returns to collect a fraudulent refund. A report in USA Today stated that it takes the IRS at best 6 months to resolve an identity theft problem. Sometimes it takes over a year. The whole process costs taxpayers billions of dollars as the IRS tries to solve problems that it was supposed to prevent. The time has come to eliminate this ineffective agency and restore our freedoms from this oppressive and invasive tax system. Instead of the IRS, we will pay our taxes when we decide to visit stores or buy services. Once you walk away from the cash register, your receipt will show the amount of federal taxes paid. No more forms, no more April 15th, and no more IRS audit. Once the fair tax becomes law and the IRS and the income tax are eliminated, economists estimate that the American economy will grow by 10.5%, exports will grow by 26%, and capital spending will increase by 70%. An increase in capital spending will mean more productivity in the economy and rising paychecks for all Americans. The federal government will collect more revenue not because marginal tax rates have increased, but because marginal tax rates have decreased. It is estimated that in 2010, the fair tax could have raised an additional $267 billion more revenue than the current tax code. That is revenue that could have been used to help reduce our deficits and debt. Again, the fair tax satisfies 3 simple criteria. It is simple. We need to get rid of all the complexity and dead weight and the $430 billion a year we spend to comply with the tax code. It is transparent. People know what the tax rules are. There are thousands of hidden sneak taxes in the current tax code. That's why we got to throw it out. And it is fair. It treats every American and business the same. No more Washington, D.C. picking winners and losers. Getting Washington, D.C. out of the business of picking winners and losers would get rid of about 50% of the lobbyists who speak special interest favors. The fair tax is clearly a bold solution, and it will boost this economy. If you believe the fair tax is the right solution for America, please visit fairtax.org and come visit me and my friend Jordan and help sign up for more info on how you can get involved. I also encourage you to help pass the fair tax by getting your local Tea Parties to pass a resolution supporting it. Since this is an election year, I also encourage you to urge your local legislatures to support a resolution repealing the 16th Amendment in the income tax. Together, we can change America and throw out the current tax code. Thank you very much.